Ladies and gentlemen, Tenko Hydro proudly presents the world's smallest scum concentrator. For about 53 years and counting, Tenko Hydro has produced scum concentrators. We've done this in all shapes and sizes, and with all different types of engineering configurations have been requested, we probably have a design for your application. So here you see two examples. We have a trapezoidal scum concentrator with a scum holding tank and a mixer drive. We can also pipe in a progressive gravity pump at the bottom, an open throat progressive gravity pump to pump out the scum. This scum holding tank, I believe, had double wall heating. So we can make this an entire engineered solution. We can also design and engineer for you just a simple rectangular scum concentrator. Sometimes rectangular scum concentrators have holding tanks as well. In this case, this is just two different drawings to show some of the different things that we've done in the past. And we've designed for pretty much all shapes and sizes, everything from pretty much a 4-foot tall scum concentrator to a 7.5-foot tall scum concentrator, and then of course everything in between. We typically size based off of the feed scum flow rate and 20 minutes of detention time. And so we're also going to take into account other factors like what are the goals of the application, how much scum is coming in, what's the scum concentration, if you will. And you can see down here as general rules of thumb, the SCM 040010 can do up to 30 GPM. So that's the 4-foot scum concentrator. We can have up to 30 GPM of inlet depending on the type of inlet. But what happens when we go smaller than 6 feet on the height of a clary scum concentrator? So here's an example of a 4-foot scum concentrator. This is a real application, and we ended up with an operating water depth of only about a foot. Total volume in the tank was around 217 gallons, and the inlet was limited to 22 GPM for this application, with only 10 minutes of detention time. So you can see that the smaller you go, the more things like operating water depth, detention time, these things can become limiting factors for the application. Now this was perfectly fine. This is exactly what they needed, but what happens when you have a high scum concentration application that needs 20 minutes of detention time, and you might only have a 4-foot opening to get the scum concentrator through? And thus the question of the day: can an 8-foot tall clary scum concentrator fit through a 4-foot high opening? This is an example of an application that we had. They only had a 4-foot high opening, and they had to fit a scum concentrator in. It was a retrofit application, but there wasn't a lot of room to fit the concentrator itself. And we did it. But how could you possibly do such a thing? Well, the simple answer is field welding. So here you see you can split the tank in half, either vertically or horizontally. This is something that can be done for virtually any tank, and it takes a little bit of work to make sure you do it the right way with a scum concentrator, but this is exactly how you can fit a scum concentrator that's sized right for the application, but might fit into a smaller geographic footprint than you might otherwise think. And this is just one example of how we do this. We've done this in a number of different ways, but in this example, we fit an 8-foot tall scum concentrator into a 4-foot opening with a horizontal split. Here's an example of a vertical split. This is not what we did in this case. A horizontal split is preferred in general, but you can see here this is an engineered drawing. We have the red line, that's where the tank split line is. And this came with instructions on how to put the skimmer blade assembly together. Every scum concentrator that we sell comes with at least 1 day of startup and commissioning of the product. So this came with instructions on how to do that. But regardless, doing a field weld split like this, it does not impact the performance of the scum concentrator. And does not impact the expected life of the scum concentrator as well. I just want to mention those two things. Some special notes on field welding. We do make sure that there are some stiffening angles at the split around the top and bottom sections. The scum concentrator itself is bolted together for testing and for shipment. And very simply, at the site, you're going to unbolt and then place the concentrator where it needs to go, and then rebolt it together and perform a field weld. So that's the general overview of how this works. And here's a little bit more detail on that. So you're going to set and field rebolt together. So once you've unbolted it and you've brought it to the location that it needs to be, and then you've bolted it together, for example, you are going to set and field rebolt. So in the field, rebolt everything together. You want to do a field watertight weld of the stainless steel inside wall. And if you don't have a trusted welder, we at Tenco Hydro do. We have a handful of welders actually that have done this and could do this for your application. And then lastly, this is for a horizontal cut. So if you're cutting it, sort of sandwich style, you would also field bolt on the baffle plate. This is the only piece to transcend both the top and bottom sections. So I'm going to go back real quick. You can see here, this is the baffle plate right here. This is something where if you're going to do that horizontal split, which is typically done right about here, the baffle plate would be a separate piece that would have to be installed. But this is how you get the performance that you're looking for in a small opening. Obviously, if we don't have to field weld, that's great. But if we do, and we still need a concentrator to perform, we have that option as well. With all of that said, thank you very much. If you would like to reach out with an application of your own, whether a Scum concentrator or anything else, water, wastewater, or automation related, we would be happy to help you. Please feel free to email us at sales@tencohydro.com.